Hello, my name is Ethan, and this is the Go There Do That podcast. I'm here with my wife Heather, and today we're just gonna kind of get the podcast going again because our last episode was,
in September.
funnily enough, it was also called Work-Life Balance,
Yeah.
which it was a warning.
Yeah.
We just leave behind little breadcrumbs for if you need an update. But what have we been working on in this amount of time? What are a couple things? I mean, we did just recently come back from Big Bend National Park for the second time. We'll briefly touch on that because that'll be a whole thing all by itself. But
Yeah.
how was it? How was Big Bend in the van this time instead of tent camping?
It was great. Yeah, and it felt like when we went 3 years ago, when we left, it kind of felt like we needed to go back. Like it felt unfinished in a way. Not to say that I'll never go back to Big Bend again, because I will, but after this trip, it felt more like, I guess, like closure in a way, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, when you start traveling in 2020, there are some drawbacks to that,
Yeah.
which means,
Yeah, there were some things we couldn't do and experience there that we did get to this time.
Yeah.
Felt like I planned more time there than last time we visited too, so it felt like less rushed and like we actually got to, really experience what there is to experience there. I mean, you could go back 100 times and not do everything probably, but I feel like we did it justice,
It's like one of those, because you always have that trip that you go on and you're like, I didn't get to do everything I wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, that's almost every trip.
I know. I don't think I've ever gone somewhere and been like,
yeah,
well,
I didn't do everything. Like, if it feels like you had enough of a place, would that be bad?
I was just thinking that. I kind of feel that way about the, like, Blue Ridge Parkway trip.
That was...
Like, I'm not going to do that again. Not to say that I wouldn't visit those places again.
It was pretty, but...
But I wouldn't do that trip again.
The parkway itself?
Right.
Because it was just, like, a lot of... So you said do everything, but, like, there are certain people that in Big Bend that don't want to go tent camping on the trails miles out of the campground, So it's like, I'm okay with not doing that. But like Blue Ridge Parkway, you're kind of like, what is everything? It's driving.
Well, it's it's through like 2 states and
you're
3 states.
Yeah. So that one, it seems like it would take a whole year.
Right.
To get,
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that one again.
Yeah. Because it's mostly just all the trails that like go off, and you can do the Appalachian trails over there too. Like, it's so much to do in that area.
Yeah.
You don't feel like.
But other than that, there's not really a whole lot of places like anywhere we've been where I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just the activity of the area is something to do on Blue Ridge Parkway, right? Like that's a thing to do.
Yeah.
But it's not everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else have we been working on? We did recently, we have our second art show that goes up January 9th. January 8th. One of those
You've
days.
been saying 9th.
9th. Okay, good. January 9th. Well, that'll go up. And that's the same amount of pieces as our first art show, I believe. The venue, one in North Austin. But and then we did get across town on 4 different streets. We had some bus stops photos go up.
Yeah, like art for the bus stop to make it spruce up
go there,
the area a little bit. But
we were asked to supply some fun photos of the area, which is an awesome opportunity. And
because a lot of our stuff is from other places, so it is cool that we get to showcase Go There Do That here, like where we live.
Our area.
Because like I think even when we first started, like we were thinking that Go There Do That doesn't have to mean like going to Europe and Alaska. It's about like getting out and doing, like, experiencing life. So that includes doing things in your town that you live in. So yeah, it's kind of cool that we have like photographs of the local area that we live that we've, captured.
There's a lot of herons around here.
Yeah, lots of birds.
Lots of cool birds. So that is kind of representative to what we are deciding to do for this Christmas and New Year's, which is invest more time into our home. This is our first time decorating for Christmas, which is really cool. But like we didn't travel for. This is the first time in 3 years that we haven't traveled around this holiday time.
Yeah.
Big Ben was the first time
in 2020
for us. But I think that's interesting that
well, we had a trip planned to go to Florida with our friends that also have a van.
Yeah.
But plans change, some things came up. O'Malley, our dog, basically he went to the vet and had some stuff come, like abnormal lab work come up, and so we had to go through, like, it was a couple of weeks of doing tests and figuring out what that could be, and which was like expensive, and so doing a trip around this time didn't make much sense in that sense. But also things were up in the air until like 2 days before we were supposed to leave for the trip, and so we didn't know if like O'Malley was like sick, like very sick. And so we were kind of like, well, I don't want to be like leaving for a trip and then I just found out that like O'Malley has Cushing's disease or, a tumor, because I'm not going to want to be on that trip. And we weren't planning on taking him with us either. My mom was going to watch him at our house, but so that just like didn't feel right. He is totally fine. So we went through all that to find out that it was just a fluke, I guess. Like, don't really know why, but the vet said that we did our due diligence in trying to figure it out, doing the ultrasound, blood tests, all that. So, yeah. So it made us stay home and slow down. But also O'Malley's healthy, so that's fine with me. You know?
I guess you can just have a high amount of alkaline phosphate in your system or whatever that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to slow down, like know what's the priorities are, because I think that's also a reason like we took a break from the podcast, because if it was like something we
well the irony of the last episode that we did being work-life balance, and we were like talking about how we make it work, and we have this routine and blah blah blah, and then basically for the past couple of months we haven't had a great work-life balance, and we've been just like letting ourselves get pretty wrapped up and stressed with like the work part of that, and not the go there do that side of work, like our actual, like we both have full-time jobs outside of go there do that, so that's been pretty it has been intense for several months for both of us.
We're just making up excuses,
right? Yeah, sure. But yeah, basically we lost our like routine mojo, the work-life balance of taking care of ourselves, kind of.
Well, it was a good learning experience, because you get into this routine of like the cycle of your day, and you're in it, right? And there's some times when you don't really own it, and you're kind of what's going on. But we had a system, I feel like, that it was working out well, and then there was like something that just kind of a wrench gets thrown in, and you're like, oh, we have to prepare for wrenches as well, like all the time. And so that's the balance of doing everything, trying to do both.
Yeah, because life doesn't always stay smooth and easy.
It's never smooth and easy.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe you're supposed to you're probably supposed to keep taking care of yourself and
probably
things that you love in between that. But we both have a hard time with that sometimes, because we both work really hard. So if that thing becomes intense and then also things are coming up in life, then sometimes it's like, what, am I going to like not be good at my job? Absolutely not. So I guess I'm going to not take care of myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I think burnout might just come from not having like a reason to be doing your work, you know? Like you're just like, why does all this matter?
Yeah.
Like I have this stack of papers that I need to do or something, right? And they're all papers about a juggling competition coming up. That's not really important to me.
Okay.
But weird example. But I'm trying to think of something. I always say juggling as the example of something that's not really like a super useful skill to life and society. And so anyway, you have that, a bunch of work that is kind of monotonous and meaningless is my point.
Okay.
And then you don't really know how to like find within all of that, like, why are you doing this at this point? And so then your brain is like, let's not do this anymore. And so then you find you're demotivated. Is burnout having too much work that's physically impossible to do? Or is it like a mental thing? I guess. Why did we feel the need to take a step back from Go There Do That for a few months? Was it that we reached this point of like, because it's not like we were physically incapable. We were just like mentally stepping back.
Yeah.
And that's like us recognizing that, you know, but it's not us feeling it. I didn't feel burnt out. I was like, I'm just not going to do this additional thing right now. Like
well, I think that's what kept us from getting fully burnt out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so
is being able to
step back. So then there's certain things that everything's a priority and there's no like optional things. And getting on top of all that stuff is hard, but we did good this year. This year was very mentally taxing. And I'm for everybody, you know, but it's on top of like personal life tragedies, but coupled with whatever's going on in the world that you always need to pay attention to, you know, like there's always something. And I don't know.
I mean, like this year was rough for sure. Yeah, like it's okay to admit that. There were still very many beautiful moments that happened this year, many opportunities that we've had. But yeah, like it's okay to say that this year was kind of tough. Yeah.
But I wanted to do one more podcast to round the year off.
Yeah.
And I know it's not exactly structured. I'm talking about juggling competitions or whatever, but
yeah,
I do feel the need to just recap the year together.
Yeah.
On a podcast and talk about how work and life and
what's been going
crazy. Yeah. I mean this last trip to Big Bend was like a reflection of kind of the past 3-ish years.
Yeah.
Because we returned to Yosemite this year too, actually.
Yeah, we did a lot of returning this year, yeah. That's really the only, I mean, yeah. The only 2 trips we did. We camped here and there, but as far as going like we have been for 2 years before this year, it was definitely slower.
Yeah, we gotta unpack.
But I think it had it needed to be slower,
this year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it had to be.
Yeah.
I think about that, but then how it's just a lot that happened.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I'm I feel bad. I'm oh wow, I suck because we did a lot less this year, and we didn't camp as much as I wanted to. We didn't travel as much as I wanted to. We didn't keep up with doing podcasts as much as we wanted to. Maybe we didn't make as many videos as we wanted to. We didn't make as many posts as we wanted to. But yeah,
I thought you were gonna have a positive thing. It's all okay. that you didn't do everything you wanted to do?
I mean,
I thought you were going to end that with some great thing. And you're just like, we didn't do any of this. And then it ends. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, because I know, because I was going to say something like, but.
Positive. How do you
but then I just got stuck in that and I was like, wow.
We didn't do anything.
Why we didn't do anything.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, yeah, it was everybody has hard years, but yeah, it was a hard year.
I just like how much reflecting we did this. That's what I'm trying to like emphasize on.
We've talked a lot. Even like we haven't done a podcast in 4 months, but
oh yeah.
Yeah, we like are constantly
jabbering.
Yeah, talking and trying to figure out what's going on with our brains and processing things. Yeah.
Yeah, the more aware you get of yourself, the more like terrifying you're like, oh no, I have to learn this about myself.
Yeah.
This feeling or emotion is real and it's because of something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really do think that we don't have any plans for next year. It's good to keep that open.
Zero.
Yeah, it's good to
it feels like in a way, like when I stop and think about it, then I'm like, oh my gosh, like
we're done.
We just gonna keep being like
we lost it.
Not nurturing this or whatever. But it's also kind of freeing because I had a lot of plans for how I thought this year was gonna go.
Yeah.
Too.
Make no plans.
And yeah, that didn't all pan out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess really Yosemite was like the only thing that we had like planned. But I don't know. It was just, I don't know. Like, it's not for me to talk about, but like, I just keep saying that this year was like hard, but I'm just like saying that, but not like saying what made it hard.
Yeah, a lot of death.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the way we'll just walk through it. The way this year started. Well, on Ethan's intermission podcast, I did mention.
You did, yeah.
So, I did mention.
Yeah.
My mother had cancer.
Yeah.
At the time, and so she did pass away this year. And that was why we keep saying this year was hard, because we're like, how do we say that? Yeah.
What the heck? Yeah.
Yeah. But that was.
Yeah. And it's like a downer. Thing. Like, you know, you don't want to talk about that on your podcast.
Well, you already brought it up.
In full. I know. I'm just saying. But that's like why why you're like dancing around it. Yeah. Because it's like, it's a buzzkill. For sure. But.
And then. Yeah, that was a tough time. It's a lot of. I do feel like a lot of that was kind of. I mean, you were obviously there every step of the way, but a lot of it I handled like I had to really just go off by myself. And then I come up with all these like strange ways of like dealing with
making
it
like, make sense.
I don't know. I'm still able to function in life though, and so that was like because I'm like I don't know if this is normal or not. The way
I'm still going.
Yeah, like it was strange because I feel like that book you read, Wild, how she was very close with her mom. She passes away, and then she has to go on this crazy journey to
first she like wrecked her life.
Oh, okay.
And then she was doing that to kind of like try to get herself like to find herself again, because she like was doing like drugs and like cheating on her husband in that book before she went on the PCT trail or Pacific Crest Trail. Yeah.
And so I feel like we've done a lot of that.
In our own way.
Yeah.
Not the destructive parts.
Well, not the destructive parts. Sorry.
Like the finding.
The traveling. Like we did all this without knowing why. Okay.
Oh, before.
Before everything.
Yeah.
And so then you have all these like experiences. And then I'm sure everybody's familiar with the Death Valley video. The very end, chapter 8. Now what? If you watch past the credits, there's a little scene that explains sort of very well what at the time I was like, to have all of these answers is just to be left with more questions, because I'm like, I don't know what this means. Like seeing the Northern Lights, like going to Yosemite, having all these crazy experiences, and like seeing this stuff, and then you come. And then life is like, guess what? You're going to lose your precious baby dog, Danny, this year. You're also your brand new vehicle this is what I'm getting into everything this year. New vehicle, you got in a car crash. Some dude just ran a red light and killed our car. Danny was sad. That was unexpected and sad. And then my mom passed, and that was like expected, but you're kind of like, of course, like we knew that was coming, but then these other things are like on top of it. So I do feel like I would be a very big mess without Go There, Do That. Yeah. Like I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
In summary. Yeah. So that's what we meant by this year was crazy. And then we're like, we just wanted to top it off with one more little short podcast, but we're doing all right. Hopefully everybody else is doing pretty good out there.
Yeah.
Out there in the world, just trucking along, because
sometimes that's all you can do.
It's pretty wild. Yeah. I mean, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how.
I think that's what I struggle with sometimes is like understanding that life has balance and highs and lows. But sometimes I have trouble like your instinct is to be like, yeah, all this like crazy stuff happened, but there were so many beautiful moments in this year too, because there was. But I don't know, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's okay for those things to have sucked and to not, make sense. Like you can't make sense of things like that.
Why is this happening? Yeah.
But yeah, I think like having Go There, Do That, and like previous experiences made it like easier to go through and to kind of get your shit kicked in a little bit, because it is like balance. I don't know.
Well, it's been said that suffering exists so that we can relate to others. Like the reason we go through hard stuff is because there's somebody out there that like wants to talk to somebody, but they don't know who else is there. So like, hey, I've been through this thing. I don't know how to relate to anybody about it. Yeah. So I'm just gonna talk about it in a more. I know this is like a one-way communication, but like when I talk about things on here, it's just kind of free and open for anybody to just open and
take
whatever
what you want from it.
Yeah. And so I think that's kind of the usefulness of just kind of putting things out there. Yeah. You're just writing notes on a wall in a way, the internet, Anyone else? Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. So, yeah, we just
yeah. Basically like we crashed for a little bit. And that's okay. And
we just store energy.
That doesn't mean like that we're down or should be counted out,
Yeah, I mean, we've been dragging this thing along for 3 years. I mean, I don't see why we can't do.
I wouldn't say dragging.
More. It's been like, what do I say? I say editing a video is, and I guess starting a whole business or whatever is similar. It's like you're given a puzzle box. All the pieces are white, and none of the pieces have a shape. You have to decide what shape they are. Oh, also you have to decide what photo's going in the picture. Also, you have to create every piece for it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, okay, so I had to like create all this from scratch then.
Yeah.
It's like still a puzzle, but it's even more challenging than a normal one would be because nobody gives you the final image. You know? And that's like how I see it as like, I don't know what it's doing, but if somebody comes up,
but I also don't want anyone to give me the final image
telling me
Yeah.
that this is what it should look like.
Exactly.
It's like, well, it's not from your brain though, so it'd be a little dishonest.
Yeah.
If I started like doing what somebody else wanted.
Yeah.
For this. Okay, so there was a little bit of a technical mishap, which is probably the first time ever that a cat has stopped a podcast during the recording.
Yeah.
But Smoosh
Yeah.
managed to crawl on the desk and stop the recording, and we don't know what we were talking about. Like, we can't remember exactly.
Yeah, we can't, like, pick it up.
But we also want to, like, finish the podcast and close it out.
Yeah.
So,
and we, like, started to try to record again, but it felt ridiculous.
It wasn't good. Yeah.
So, yeah. Leave it to Smoosh to do something like that.
No, I have the recording of him crawling on the desk, and he starts to scratch himself, and I know he, like, touched the mouse, and it was over the record button.
Yeah.
I guess, or something magical happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
But first time ever.
Yeah.
You know.
So, you know, that work-life balance.
Just getting back into it. The one that we haven't done this in months. Yeah. And the first time we come back, Smoosh never messes with that stuff.
Nope.
Until
he barely even comes upstairs.
Yeah. Until we start to use it, and then he crawls all over everything.
Yeah, he's like a little bratty kid that like funny. Only wants to play with a toy if you're playing with it.
Yeah. Yep. That's our cat. That's a cat that we have. It's not a person that we have living with us. That's just a cat that runs around and
he's got quite a personality.
He's so funny.
But
that was our explanation for cutting a sentence off or something.
Wherever it happened.
Because I'm going to have to edit that together. But
yeah,
that's okay. I just wanted to get back on and just add this
message.
Start
to try to do podcasts again and get back in the groove.
It's going to be a challenge. That's the point.
Yeah.
But
I know. We've been talking about recently how it's like, okay, like I feel like we've been the ones standing in our way, you know?
No, it's all been Smoosh this whole time.
It's really been Smoosh.
Like, this is the reason, we barely managed to escape him long enough to do this podcast. We've been locked in here for months. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He is funny. He's a funny cat. That's why we like to stick him in a backpack and take him camping with us. He does that too. So
yeah,
I guess
maybe that's what he's trying to tell us. He's like, stop being at home and recording podcasts and take me back out.
Yeah, literally unplugging the computer.
Yeah.
That's just happened. We just wanted to say it and
address it. And I guess Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yep.
Stay away from cats. If you find them on the side of the road, they will unplug your podcast later.
Yeah. So, but he's provided a lot of great special moments.
I forgive him. It took me like 10 seconds, but I forgive
It's more
him.
Funny than anything. Like,
it's
of course.
Funny. Like, that's funny, yeah.
Of course he did. Our first podcast in 4 months.
And then he unplugged it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, that happened, but you know.
But we tried, and we'll keep trying.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, thanks for listening. Have a great New Year. This will be a great one. We'll see y'all around. So long.